Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
That was one of the weirdest. That had the feel of a preseason game, Bruce. That was the first game of the Battle of Alberta in 31 years. It's, used to some fiery, intense, classic games. And honestly, it felt like it was so haphazard and so full of mistakes and terrible plays and mental errors. It felt like a weird preseason non-entity of a game, which the Oilers lost 9-6. The grade A shots were even more dominant, 20-10 for the Calgary Flames. And when it came to the subset of the most dangerous shots of all, the 5 alarm shots, it was 12-5 for Calgary. I never really felt, even though the Oilers tied up that game, Bruce,
Mm-hmm.
late in the third. I think I wrote a little note to you then. Like I don't see the Oilers winning this one because they couldn't defend.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very, very, very similar to the 9-5 game that was played in Calgary on, I think it was February 26th or something.
Yeah.
And it was no, wait a minute, March 26th. It was, they'd gone down to Calgary and played a fill-in game and lost that 3-1. That was a pretty wretched but boring game. And then on March 26th, the Saturday, they went down and got shellacked 9-5 on Hockey Night in Calgary, giving up 3 goals in each of the 3 periods, a feat which somehow they managed to duplicate tonight. 6 periods in a row with 3 goals against in Calgary, which is more than you want to give up an entire game, David. I mean, your objective is 2 or less. That's 3 goals in every period, 6 in a row in the same building. And they looked like they had no clue how to prevent those goals and about that much desire to try and stop them. I'm very, very disappointed with this effort tonight and this performance and the execution of the game plan and everything else. I mean, even when they tied the game from 6-2 down, they got 4 straight goals, and you think you'd be just off your seat. And I was just going, they don't deserve to be tied. They're just not playing well enough, and I don't think it'll stay tied. And sure enough, it didn't stay tied. The very next shot was in the net for Calgary and down the tubes from there. That was 6-6, by the way, was the Oilers' last grade A shot of the game. They never mustered any more after that.
So. And the goal was just typical of the Oilers, just running around on their own end, not playing well. Anyway, it was after those 2 fantastic defensive games against the Kings in the last 2 games. Yeah. I guess the worry is that was a bit of a mirage, that the Kings were, not a great offensive team, and you can shut down a weak defensive team. But when you're up against a team that has some players that can make plays, that ain't going to work. Anyway, I don't want to make too much of it because it was a very weird game.
It was.
It was a very disappointing game. And so we're going to do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers podcast, Bruce. And we'll go with 2 bad things each. Why don't you start it off with your first good thing? Your first and only good thing from the Oilers.
Okay. Just to go against the grain off the start, I'm going to go with defenseman Brett Kulak, who accomplished mission impossible tonight by being on the ice for 0 Calgary goals in his, how much did he play tonight? Kulak, he played 16 and a half minutes, during which time Edmonton got 2 and Calgary got none. And I didn't notice him all that much. And you know what? That's maybe the best thing of all, because every time I noticed an Oiler tonight, it seemed like it was because he was making a mistake or he was out of position or, and certainly that's true of Oilers defensemen in this game. And so I'll say Kulak was the best of a bad lot of Oilers defensemen, and I'll leave you to who's the best of a bad lot of Oilers forwards.
Kulak, he almost kept a clean sheet. There was one play where he did allow a pass out into the slot, but that was mainly on McDavid, who was puck watching on the play again. Like Connor McDavid, he had such a Connor McDavid is my good thing, even though he had a number of plays, Bruce, where he was puck watching
Yeah.
and not covering the slot off. Like they just evolved to bad, like they were playing like it was 2018 again, not covering guys in the slot. It was not keeping it, shoulder checking and allowing all these hellacious scoring chances against the
Mm-hmm.
Oilers. Like it was ridiculous. But my good thing was Connor McDavid.
Okay.
He had, there was 3 or 4 plays where he made really bad defensive plays, among other others, and allowing big scoring chances. But he did have 4 points, and he did do a lot um, to drive the team forward and get this team back into the game, tie the game up. He was largely responsible for that. I mean, on the first goal. It was just a fantastic move that he made, where he dragged the puck across the crease and waited for Markstrom to go down and then open up and put it between his legs. He made a really sweet spin move to set up Bouchard's goal. Um, he popped a puck in the neutral zone, rushed in, and put it over to Draisaitl for the 5th goal. And then on the 6th goal, just a phenomenal effort, phenomenal move where he spins to the net off the faceoff, gets in there alone and first of all, gets a very dangerous chance his own, and then Yamamoto puts in the rebound. I mean, that was such an inspirational play, Bruce. For a
You
moment,
would think.
I was thinking, okay, they're gonna suck it up. They're gonna get their heads out of their butts, and they're gonna play some
Mm-hmm.
defense here. But
Wrong.
they didn't. And McDavid was part of it on the 7th
Mm-hmm.
goal. I mean, he was kind of drawn out. He was drawn out away from the slot. He wasn't the primary culprit. I think that was Draisaitl, but he was drawn out from the slot, and he just they just were not defensively disciplined, and they didn't make good reads or good decisions, and McDavid was part of that. So he led the team with 25-33 in ice time, and the 4 points, dynamic on the attack, but part of the big mess on defense, but still nonetheless my good thing.
4 even strength points minus 1. That's pretty
Yeah.
hard to do. Like he got outscored despite putting 4 points on the board. And it's kind of reminiscent of the 9-5 game again, where that night the power play was hot and the even strength got destroyed. And I think McDavid and Draisaitl were both minus 4 in that game. They each had 3 or 4 points. I think Draisaitl had a hat trick in that game and went minus 4. And it's more of the same. On the Yamamoto goal, not only did McDavid make the spin move out in front, Yamamoto didn't score on the rebound. He actually scored off a McDavid pass. McDavid was able to find the puck under Markstrom,
Oh,
chip
really?
chip it through Markstrom out the other side for Yamamoto to slam it in. That was a really nifty pass by McDavid. So certainly, full value for the points. I'm not sure about uh, his overall game. We certainly did not see the 10 out of 10 McDavid that we saw last game. And I'm not sure that we saw much of anything that resembled last game, to be honest. It was like the last game in reverse.
Just
They
changing
came,
my game grades here to reflect what you just told me. I missed that he had made that pass.
yeah, I just reached in and he just touched it right through the pile and out to Yamamoto on the other side. So it looked like a rebound. Right away, I said to Anna, "How did Yamamoto get that? Like that was a weird rebound. Did Markstrom somehow kick it out to that side?" And then the low angle replay, showed it really well.
That's why we call you sharp-eyed Bruce McCurdy. Bruce, let's move on to bad things. What's your first bad thing?
Yeah, so many. How could we get 9 each? I mean, just one for each goal. Oh,
We'd be here all
uh,
night. I don't want to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
I know. We don't want to be there. How about if I single or double out the goaltending or triple out the goaltending, which actually stank at both ends of the rink tonight?
Yeah.
Jacob Markstrom was brutal in this game, and the Oilers, got enough goals off of him that they should have comfortably won this game. That's what stings more than anything else. Put a 6-pack on the board and got thumped. But Markstrom wasn't any good, but I mean, maybe he made 1 or 2 saves. I know that 4-goal comeback, it seemed like every shot went in, including at least one B shot. But Mike
By Hyman.
Smith, beaten twice in the first minute of the game, first 51 seconds of the game. And the first shot, I just thought it might have got tipped by Keith at the source, but it hit him on the shoulder and just went through. He was deep in the net. He wasn't prepared for it. And I mean, he was bombarded. I think Calgary had 8 of their grade A shots in the 6 minutes that Smith played. And part of the reason he got pulled was a mercy pull, and also it gets the team to wake up kind of goalie pull. Uh, uh, but they brought in Mikko Koskinen, and I'm thinking, you come in and settle down here. There's lots of game left here, and especially when they made it 3-1. But I don't think Koskinen ever did settle down. And he was fighting it. He was fighting the puck. He wasn't finding rebounds. Got lucky a couple times. A shot hit him and dropped in behind him in the goal crease, and 2 Calgary guys tried to just touch it in with their sticks and couldn't get it. And then he kind of fell back on it. But it just didn't give me ever the sense that he's going to come in and make saves. And I mean, the score sheet will say he made 32 saves or something like that, because I mean, Calgary had 37 shots on him, and only 5 of them went in. But when the Oilers really needed a big save of him off that Rasmus Anderson shot from the wing, or the Matt Tkachuk breakaway shot from quite far out, because Tkachuk didn't really have any speed to I think get deep, and he just surprised Koskinen with a shot that went right through the 5 hole from like 30 feet out. I mean, you got to have a stop in there somewhere, and neither Oiler goalie really delivered the goods on the stop front. And I mean, the stats will say Smith was worse, but he faced 10 shots and 8 grade A shots in the first 6 minutes. I think that's what it was. 8 grade A shots. That was just it's just insane.
I gave Koskinen the lower mark, Bruce, because I just felt it was the 4th goal that really got me. I think it was kind of an outside shot from the boards. And it was, I don't know how this happened, but he turned an outside shot from the boards into this wicked rebound off his pad where he was way out of position for the rebound. Like he just went way overcorrected, slid over, pumps the puck back the other direction, and Coleman put in the rebound. And he just wasn't even close to being in the play on a fairly mundane outside shot. Like honestly, like maybe get a little, I don't know, like they play so far back in the crease. I guess that's the style. That's what they're supposed to do, but it just seemed like extreme, and he was really battling with his rebounds tonight, and that's why the 4th goal was scored.
There was nothing clean about his game, right? Like like he wasn't sharp, he wasn't swallowing up pucks, they were dropping, nobody knew where they were. But, I mean, I wouldn't have given either goalie a very high grade out of that game, and I wouldn't have given Markstrom one either.
He might have been the worst.
If I was grading Calgary, and he got the win.
Yeah, he might have been the worst goalie on the ice, Markstrom.
Well, he let in 6, Koskinen only let in 5, and Smith just 3, so I guess you could make the case. But, boy.
Bruce, my first bad thing
for silver linings.
Yeah, my first bad thing is the Oilers' start of the game. I mean, it was just obviously despicable. And I thought, I thought the Oilers have learned how to start the game, which is by working your ass off. But it just started off with this, and it's not just hard work. It's making the right reads. It's getting your head in the game and playing cautious when you should be cautious and aggressive when you should be aggressive, going for it, and having that, knowing when to do it. And the first goal against came because Evan Bouchard was asleep at the wheel. There was no reason for him to be, there was a play at the blue line where Calgary's kind of breaking out, and he kind of mirrors his man, kind of follows them, and he should be hanging back there. He's a defenseman. What are you doing? Like, you're not even trying to make the play. So just hang back in your spot and get settled into the game, and don't be too aggressive. And because he's up ice, there's essentially an odd man rush for Calgary. He causes it because of his mental art. Now Bouchard came back and played. He scored a very nice goal, and I thought he got stronger as the game went on and got more confidence and played well. But that first mistake, I mean, Yikes! And I did hear like it was kind of an outside shot. It would normally be a grade B scoring chance shot, not a grade A. But I do think it hit Duncan Keith's stick. I heard a tick,
Yeah. Oh
distinct
yeah.
tick, and it seemed to shoot up. And I think that's why it beat Smith. It would have been nice to see Smith make the save nonetheless, but I think it did hit Duncan Keith's stick.
It
So,
hit
and
him
then,
and went in. Eh? It hit him in
yeah,
the collarbone and just still
yeah.
went right through him.
24 seconds later, the Flames score again, and it's part of a recurring nightmare where Darnell Nurse doesn't make a play in the corner, and Ryan Nugent Hopkins doesn't make a play in a corner, and Cody Ceci allows a pass out from behind the net, and Darnell Nurse is like Nuge was there battling in the corner in this play, and there was no reason for there was only one Flames player. There was no reason for Nurse to go there at all. But again, he's not like I know he's playing hurt, but that his head isn't hurt. Like he's got to make those reads. He's got to do better. Like Nuge is making the play. I don't have to be there. I'm gonna, don't get overly like can't get sucked in the corner. So because he's over in the corner, the front of the net is wide open when the pass comes through CC into the slot and there's a goal because Darnell Nurse was way out of position on it. And so I'm just going to segue into Nurse being my second bad thing, actually.
Okay, go
my
for
third. Is this my, what am I on? Yeah, this is my second bad thing. We're not doing three. So Brucey had the roughest night that he's had maybe all season. I think there was one other night. He had you pointed this out to me, 0 hits.
it.
And again, the game's not necessarily about hitting, but if Darnell Nurse has 0 hits in a Battle of Alberta game, something's not right with him.
Something's not right with him.
He was leaking grade A shots all game long. He's not, he doesn't seem to be in the game physically or mentally at this point. And, we don't know the extent of his injury, but it's not happening for the Oilers would be way better off giving Kulak more ice time and scaling back Nurse on the third, put Nurse on the third pairing with Tyson Berry, who actually had a pretty good game at even strength. Just get him out of the hard matchups, give him easy ice time, make him the 7th D man. They're just, if he can't play better than this, he's a liability for the team right now. Playing injured is the truth about it. And just again and again, the play went through him. Like he got turnstile again and again and again. So, mainly by passes, not like people beating him on the rush like Kempe did against LA, but, it was mainly just positional things. So, I'm being very hard on Darnell Nurse, who's a great player when he's not injured. He's injured and he's not.
Yes, he is.
That's the whole issue here. And they've got to do a cost-benefit analysis of his ice time. That's my point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do we have him for 7 grade A chances against? And there's an 8th one where I'm going to convince you he also made a big mistake that we're still discussing. Okay. And that led to a goal.
I think you can convince me on that one. I was just wondering which mistake you thought in the
one
corner.
In the corner.
Well, it's a little bit early in the sequence though, Bruce.
When they lost the puck though. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we can talk about it. It was one of a whole litany of mistakes, and it was one of those goals where you could run through the mistakes and probably count the same player 2 or 3 times. And that stuff happened, and he was in on that. And his pairing with CC just did not have a strong night. They both ended up -3 on the night, and they were. I mean, Nurse, like, if nothing else, you expect a little bit of take charge from the guy, and you expect if something's going wrong that, he's going to take a run at somebody, or he's going to do something to he's going to hack somebody, he's going to do something to sort of get himself into the game. None of that happened. Like, he just was not in the game.
Yeah.
And that's and that's not a criticism that very often gets leveled at that player. Like, that you get his level best most nights, and maybe we got his level best tonight, but his level best wasn't good at all. And if that's, like, unfortunately, as you say, if that's the best that he's got, then this should happen. Well, I could look at this list and say, if that's the best that all these players have, then maybe we need to see some black aces next game, because I don't think they'll go anywhere near that direction, but there's a long list of players who underperformed in this game,
Yeah,
and the leadership group and the other guy who's injured, Leon Draisaitl, he had a brutal game defensively as well.
sure
He's
did.
got 3 points, but clearly not himself and off his game. And when Oilers have such core players off their game, it's not a good look.
Yeah. Yeah, Leon was really struggling on defense. I mean, he's culprit on the last two, the
Oh,
seventh
that
and eighth
last one.
goals, and
Jeez, they
oh, that
finally get it
turnover.
out after about 4 minutes stuck in their own end, and he
Mhm.
fires a pass that hits his teammate's skate and legalizes Kachuk for a cheap breakaway, and he
Ah,
scores from 30 feet. It's just like,
Bruce,
what else can go wrong?
what's your second bad thing?
My second bad thing is Edmonton Oilers' power play, which supposedly, in theory, is one of the big advantages that they had coming into the series, was the great power play that they got. And tonight's power play was putrid, just brutal. They couldn't even get the puck in Calgary's zone. They couldn't set up. They couldn't make a pass. Did we have any grade A shots on the power play? I doubt it.
No,
I know
no.
the actual shot count in 8 minutes of Edmonton power play. The shots on goal were 3 for Edmonton and 3 for Calgary. This is when you have actually one more player than them, right? 3-3.
Oh,
And every single one of those power plays went backwards and never went forward again after that. I think there was one time where McDavid went a 1-on-4 solo rush and he got into half decent position, but nothing came out of it. Otherwise, they just couldn't even enter the zone or make a decent pass. And when they did get the puck, they'd cough it up for free.
it's
And
tempting,
four wretched power plays in a row. So the power
yeah.
play stands out as those. That was times of the game where they could get back or at least get some momentum back, and it just sputtered and died 4 out of 4 times.
it it's Leon was struggling on the power play. Like he
Hmm.
can move. Obviously, he gets going in a straight line on the goal. He showed he can move in a straight line. But what I noticed in this game was turning and his agility was gone.
Hmm.
And there was a number of times, like once the puck came around the boards, normally he would have been there to win it, and it just went out, or the Flame got there first. And
Hmm.
he's
Yeah.
not. I brought this up, Bruce, in the lead into this series about my concern about this is that
Yes. Both those guys.
if he's going half speed,
Hmm.
he's going to be a liability. He's actually, it's not just that he's not like giving all the good stuff that he does. It's just like he's actually slowing the whole team down. He's hurting the team, and he hurt. And again, this is the injury. This isn't Leon Draisaitl is the best power play player in the NHL. I think there's no one I'd rather have on the power play than Leon Draisaitl, including Connor McDavid. But going on one leg, he can't make plays. He can't make those quick plays on the boards, puck protect on the boards, those quick movements into the slot, backing up. And they would be better off not playing him on the power play at this point. They would be better off with Evander Kane or Cutter Yamamoto or someone else stepping up into that spot on the top power play and seeing if, or Evan Bouchard and Tyson Berry. Like try if you need another shooter out there, have
Hmm.
Bouchard on the, put Nuge on the left wall and put Bouchard on the excuse me, Bouchard on the left and Nuge on the right, on their off wings. That might work, but I don't,
Hmm.
unless Leon gets more healthier in the next couple days. Like, change it up. It's not working. It's not gonna work,
Yeah.
Bruce.
Well, both of those injured guys had pretty bad games. At least Leon delivered some offense.
He did.
you know, got 3 points, right? I mean, you got 3 points in that game, -2 though, and 15 and 5 on the dot. Like he was doing some things right, but
Play him at even
commanding
strength.
the
Play him.
puck and yeah, well, I mean, you got to use him on the power play, but he's got to be better. I mean, the power play has to be better. They all have to be better, and he's very high, if not top of that list. But benching him off the power play is not necessarily the answer either. But the whole power play needs to get its crap together because tonight they didn't have it at all. And at times where there were opportunities where you want your team to sort of seize the opportunity and go for it. At least get the puck moving around and create some pressure. Nothing. It was like there's no pulse.
I'm finding Leon still kind of effective at even strength, on the wing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he just needs to make a couple better reads on defense, and better decisions. But I do, and I know this is like not many people will agree with me. Probably it's maybe
Mm-hmm.
kind of a radical thing to say, but I've seen enough of him and Nurse where I scale back their ice time to put them in situations where they can succeed. And I know that's not the hockey way. They will go with these guys and ride them, and they'll be called warriors, and they are warriors. It's incredible what they're doing playing, I'm sure, with substantial pain and discomfort. But such a shame, eh? The Oilers finally advanced to this Battle of Alberta, and their two of their best players are
Mm-hmm.
significantly injured,
Clearly,
and it's
clearly.
really going to have an impact on this series. I was predicting the Oilers to win today, like with McDavid, because I was hoping the Nurse would start getting better, start healing, and the
Mm-hmm.
Draisaitl might also have a little bit of healing, but it doesn't look like that's happening yet. And I don't know if it's going to happen. They're just playing hurt, and it's a big downside.
Yep.
What's your number, Bruce?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I used all my threes already, so I think I'm going to go with 51. 51 seconds, 0:51. And I do believe the Oilers may have set an all-time new NHL record tonight by calling their timeout 51 seconds into the first period. I personally don't remember ever seeing one used at such an early time, but they gave up 2 goals before they used the timeout. And I'm thinking Jay Woodcroft's thinking at that point is that, well, if I wait for that first TV timeout at the 6-minute mark, it could be 10-0 by then, so maybe I better do something now. But it was such a wretched start, which you've already talked about. But I mean, that's a number that puts the exclamation mark on it. You're calling your friggin' timeout and you haven't even reached the 1-minute mark of the game? Holy moly. I thought we'd
Yeah.
learned that little thing about being ready for puck drop. And then we got 2 good games in a row, and then the third game is like worse than even before. It used to take 5 or 6 minutes to give up those 2 goals, not 51 seconds. Jeez.
Chiefs Willikers is correct. Bruce, my number is 0 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
So Zach Cassian and Connor McDavid are two players in the Edmonton Oilers. One of them had 0 hits, and one of them had 5 to lead the team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the guy who shouldn't be having 5 who led the team, Connor McDavid. It's great that he's hitting and passionate player that he is. He's taking such a physical role and trying to get this team going, rev this team up. But come on, Zach Cassian, 0 hits. Whew. The Oilers, this was like not a very physical playoff game at all for a Battle of Alberta. It was just really tough. I mean, there was lots of after the play shenanigans, Kane and Kachuk getting into it. And Kane actually came to McDavid's defense a couple of times, which I liked. But this isn't right. When your superstar's leading the team in hits and your designated hitter has 0,
Mm-hmm.
that's a tell that something's gone wrong in this game.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, Cassian did, I mean, he made one good play driving to the net on the 5-2 goal.
Mm-hmm.
That was Bouchard's goal, and Cassian's drive to the net was part of the chaos. And then the camera went away from him, and they never did show a proper replay. But all I know is that Cassian wound up in the penalty box for some scrum after where the ref had singled him out and sent him off, and they never showed the video evidence. So we're going to have to take the ref's word for it. But barring not having the video evidence, I'm going to assume that the ref saw something that was worthy of a penalty, and Calgary comes down and scores on that power play. I mean, taking a penalty after a goal, and then the other team scores on the power play but that was one, and then he took one right at the end of the game with a little scrum that they had where he and Archibald and Lucic and Backlund all got roughing penalties at the 20-minute mark of the third period. But 0 hits, and there was I thought, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to see 0 because I can't remember one where it was even threatening to be, come in and take the guy, take the body. They had 23 hits in the game. They had 40 per game, more or less, in the Kings series. They were all around 40 in every game. And they didn't have that physical commitment. Calgary came out a little bit banging, and then they didn't really keep it up either. and it was just guys not doing their job. I mean, you mentioned Evander Kane. I thought Evander Kane was terrible in this game. I got to say,
Yeah,
zero
yeah,
shots, three giveaways, and out of sorts. Like he was. I mean, he was yapping in the penalty box. That's all good. I mean, that's part of his thing. But you got to do some of that on the ice, and you got to, bring it on the ice. And he just didn't have his game with him tonight. He made a really bad giveaway on. I think it was 2-0, 3-0 goal.
yeah.
Where
He did help them score one.
he came back into his own end and, coughed it up, and yeah, that was the 3-0, the one that Ritchie scored. I mean, that was against Calgary's fourth line, for Pete's sake. So anyway, he did. Uh, he was. I mean, like Cassian. I mean, there were so many goals in this game that there was some involvement, but it wasn't like um,
Yeah,
uh, a big main play with the puck or a
yeah.
shot or anything like that. That's easily the worst game Kane's played in the playoffs. But as I single him out, you could say the exact same statement about five or six guys on this team, like Josh Archibald. Like, yeah, I mean, that easily his worst game in the playoffs, and you could go
Nuge.
on down the list. And I
Yeah,
mean,
Nuge. The turnover on the Nuge started off the sequence of pain on the second goal against, right,
two
with the turnover.
turnovers. Hmm.
Yeah. So it's just like, Bruce. All right,
So what do you do?
let's. What do you do?
Yeah, like who comes out? Like what changes do you make if you're the coach? Or do you
That's an
just say
interesting
throw it
question.
out and I'm going to go with the same group because I believe in you guys and I know you can be better and you better be better.
I don't know. They have all these guys called up from Bakersfield, but
Yeah,
like,
right. They're
do
not
you
going to
take
use them game
do you
two.
take do you put in a Dylan Holloway to try to get some energy? Do you I told you what I would do. I
Hmm.
would trade Kulak and Nurse and
Yeah.
give Nurse's minutes to Kulak and Nurse's assignments to Kulak. I would do that. Like that, it to me is the first thing on the agenda. And it's not just based on this game, it's based on the total work of Darnell Nurse and Kulak in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Kulak needs to be playing 20 minutes
Hmm.
and Nurse needs to be playing 13.
Hmm.
So I would do that. I would seriously consider if Leon can't practice and can't practice on the power play, taking him off the top power play, playing him at even strength, and saving him for those moments, and changing up that power play. I would think about um, I would think about um, maybe making one change it forward to inject someone in there like Holloway. I didn't see Holloway. I didn't, I was so busy watching the Oilers games. I didn't watch the Bakersfield games this year. So I can't say who the right guy is, but maybe Brad Malone is the kind of player you want to put in instead of like sit Cassian, play Malone. He's another center,
Hmm.
Malone. So maybe that helps a little bit. Um, I would play Puliarvi a little bit more. I thought,
He
like,
was
yes,
good.
he wasn't a. I gave him a 4 because he didn't get much
Hmm.
done, but he looked good when he was out there.
I
I,
thought he
I
was
might
fine.
play him a little bit more, move him up to the top 6 again. Those are some. What would you do?
I wouldn't take Leon off the power play, not with 24 power play goals and 41 points, but I would certainly expect him to bounce back and have a better game. And I mean, that's some of it. Just going to have to do that. They're going to have to go
Yes.
back with Mike Smith. They're going to have to go back with,
Yeah.
you know, six of their defensemen at least. And there wasn't six that had a good game tonight. I can tell you that for a fact. And so on. I expect they'll get Warren Fogle in there. Maybe they'll
Yeah.
change the mix with Archibald or maybe Cassian. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's it's a lot of problems, and it's yet another huge challenge for our new coaching staff that has proven to be up to prior challenges. This one looks like a big one, and it's certainly an opportunity lost tonight to score all those goals and have nothing to show for it but an embarrassing loss.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Barry with Nurse actually,
Hmm.
and Kulak with CC because you can kind of sell that. You're just balancing your D.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to see Draisaitl off the power play. Like you say, they just got to hope things work out better, and that he finds a way to make it effective the way he is now. And they're going to do that, I think, in that situation. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a change in defense pairings, Bruce. Anyway, maybe we should leave it there.
That's Friday night's problem.
Yeah. Thanks for talking tonight, Bruce.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.